Good morning. My name is Katerina Ossenova. I am a 2008 graduate from the law school. And I think why Professor Brand asked me to come up here, because I've certainly not have achieved nearly as much as everybody else on these panels, is I have managed to do some very interesting work within the U.S. government after graduation. Just to tell you a little bit about what I've done, I struggled to find a job. 2008 was a very difficult year. A lot of people were either lost. I had an offer that was rescinded, which kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of revisit what it is that I wanted to be doing. And I decided that I wasn't going to take a job. I was going to wait and find the right job. So I just wanted to let you know, I graduated in May of 2008, and I did not start working until March of 2009. But I was okay with that. There were definitely some moments of frustration. I think I called Professor Brand and sent a few panicked emails, but it was worth the wait. I ended up working for 6.5 years with the U.S. Department of Commerce, Office of General Counsel Commercial Law Development Program. What CODP does is provide technical assistance in the commercial law realm to developing and transitional countries all over the world. Although most of our work right now is centered in the Middle East, Sub-Saharan Africa, North Africa, Europe, Eurasia, and Central Asia. I was brought on to actually manage the Eastern European and Eurasian portfolio. Basically, what I would do is meet with my international stakeholders, policymakers, listen to them, have them tell me what it is that they're struggling with, again, in the realm of commercial law. I would also be very much in tune with what U.S. strategic foreign policy initiatives were for those particular countries, and then it was completely within my discretion to come up with the type of assistance the Commerce Department could provide these countries. And those took any number of formats, whether there were trainings and workshops, consultations, providing advisors, commenting on legislation. Again, I mean, it was a wide variety of areas of law that I dealt with. I had to become a generalist in many different areas, and I had to train myself on how to actually implement successful and effective development programs. It was an amazing job. I think I parlayed that in 6.5 years into developing a lot of expertise in the commercial legal reform areas of those particular countries, so much so that definitely towards the latter part of my time at Commerce, I was often asked to, on behalf of state embassies, speak on behalf of the U.S. government about rule of law issues and commercial legal issues for those countries. Often when there were high-level trade dialogues between, can give an example, U.S. and Georgia, I offered the U.S. government response whenever there were commercial legal issues that were discussed. So I definitely parlayed that development job into much more of a legal job and built on my expertise, so much so that, there weren't that many people in the U.S. government that could provide that information and provide that level of expertise over a long period of time. So I left Commerce, and actually it's been a month officially that I transferred to the Department of Justice Commercial Litigation Branch, and I am now in the Office of Foreign Litigation. OFL represents the U.S. government anytime the U.S. government is a party or has an interest in a proceeding abroad in a civil or commercial matter, which you can imagine is quite a bit, so we're quite busy. And I specifically manage our Office of International Judicial Assistance. My office is the central authority for the Hague Evidence Convention and the Hague Service Convention, so I administer those conventions in the United States. So all requests that come in for service or evidence from any judiciary and anywhere in the world for anything in the U.S. go through my office. And I'm going to be doing quite a bit of new things with that office and developing it and growing it, because I've never had anyone managing that office before. So I'm the first attorney that they've brought on exclusively to manage the work of OIJA. So again, that being said, it's quite interesting, some of the work that I've done in my short time out of law school. I just wanted to actually take now a few minutes and give you a little bit of advice from where I've learned, both in terms of what I felt like I did to get myself to where I am now. And also because I've done quite a bit of hiring, both in terms of law clerks, interns, and full-time employees while in the government. And these are the kinds of things that I've picked up over the last couple of years. One of the things I can tell you is from the moment that I came to law school and I expressed an interest in international law, I allowed that interest to take me to various places. I remain steadfast in my passion for it, and I think because of that, my resume at the end of law school demonstrated that. Anyone could have looked at my resume and said, she is interested in doing international legal work of some kind, whether it was jurist, whether it was working in Kosovo for one of my summers, applying and receiving a FLAS and studying Serbian, doing the Vismut, which all of you should be doing, graduating with an international comparative law certificate. I mean, I can go on and on. So I didn't have to tell people. They could look at my resume before I even came in the door and know that my self-described interest was proven by what I was doing in law school. The other thing that I would say are languages. That's something we didn't talk about. We had like a little group this morning. Things like English for Lawyers is a fantastic program here, but not just the FLAS. I mean, not everybody's fortunate. The FLAS is a scholarship you get that allows you to study a foreign language while in law school. You can do it on your own. I can tell you at CODP, at Commerce, we actually require every single one of our attorneys to speak a foreign language. Having 2-3 languages is going to open up so many doors for you. So even if you don't have, you're kind of starting from scratch, just keep that in mind. If you have the opportunity to study a foreign language, if you find yourself thinking, what can I be doing that's a little bit extra, that's going to push me a little bit further, down from the pack, thousands of resumes that people always see, languages are key. Languages have really helped me kind of propel forward. And the other thing I want to talk about is public service. I, again, came out of law school and started in public service, and I probably will continue to do that. I see myself as developing a long career within the U.S. government. Something that you may not realize is the amazing and unique opportunities there are within the U.S. government. I hope just the ones I've mentioned to you very briefly, which I'm happy to talk about individually in more detail, can show you kind of the neat areas and the neat kind of work that the U.S. government is doing. There's a lot of pure content substance-based international work. We talked about commercialization, tech transfer work, for example, that USPTO does, but they have an entire section that does that and trains people abroad. Some of the other ones I thought about, energy, treasury, they all have a really good international departments, both doing content-based work, but also providing technical assistance. I worked with Treasury quite a bit. CBP, Customs Border Protection, they also have it. But things like Department of Commerce, Department of State, Justice, USTR, the U.S. Office of the Trade Representative, everything they do is based in some fashion in international work, whether you're representing the U.S. government abroad or you're dealing with how the U.S. is being impacted by certain policies and legislation and laws and developments that are going abroad. So what I wanted to tell you is to keep an open mind about the U.S. government. There are a lot of great opportunities. If you're interested in public service, there's a lot of benefits to joining the U.S. government early in your career. That being said, one of the things that I've seen too is a lot of people start out in the private sector and move into the government, and they assume very high-level positions. So you don't have to start out there. Just keep that in mind. That is something you can transfer into later on. The other thing about the U.S. government being now on the hiring side is that it's very difficult. USA Jobs is awful. I have amazing people I know that apply, and I never see. I repost and repost and repost, and I'm not getting those resumes of the people that I know are applying. So unfortunately, I'm going to tell you that it is a lot about getting to know people, networking, meeting people, doing informational interviews. I know there's so many alumni. Professor Brand is the go-to source of people you can meet with that can tell you about those neat opportunities. as one of many alumni, we try and do our part to bringing people on for internships. Also, another way to kind of get your foot in the door, not always ideal, there's pros and cons to it, is being a contractor as well. There's a lot of contractor positions in the U.S. government, and it's an easier way to start. It's not an easier way to develop your civil service career. But again, it's a possibility if some of you know, to at least start somewhere, and hopefully it'll lead somewhere else. So again, I encourage you to keep public service in mind and to really explore what opportunities there are. I guarantee you there's very interesting work that you can be doing based on your substantive interests, and again, based on your interest in doing something international, whether you're working in a foreign country or you want to represent the U.S. government. And again, I'm happy to provide more information on where you can start, how you can start, maybe some tips for usajobs.gov that I've discovered, and certainly happy to talk more about my experience. Thank you.